For this, I got a little starting project for you. You find it attached. It's the same starting project we used over and over again. You start the development server with npm start, and then I started the TypeScript compilation in watch mode with tsc-w in a separate terminal. So here in my built-in terminal, I got two tabs, one with the development server, which you should keep up and running so that it watches for changes and reloads the page and keeps the server up and running, and another tab where I have that running TypeScript compilation watcher. Now with that, we can work in the app.ts file, which is empty right now, and start writing some code there. And I want to start right away by defining a class which we can use. We do this by using the class keyword, just like that, and then the name of the class. And there, let's say, we're building an app, a web application, a user interface for some web tool that allows us to manage our different departments we might have in our company. Maybe we're building some kind of company internal tool, whatever it is, and we need to have multiple departments there. Now, we could use objects to manage the data for the different departments, and we might then also add methods there to each object so that we can render that department information onto the screen. And to simplify the creation of these different department objects, which will all look the same, is to create a department class. So we could name this class department. The name is totally up to you. The convention is that it starts with an uppercase character to make it clear that this is a class. Now, if you've been around to JavaScript development for a longer time, you might know the idea of constructor functions, by the way, and classes in the end are syntactic sugar for that, you could say. But we'll see that once we compile our code. So here we have our class department, and now in there, we might have a name property. You can add it just like this, without any let or const in front of it, just like this, directly in the class. And then, of course, you can also assign a type to this. You do that by adding a colon here, and then the type, for example, string. And that's important. This might look like an object, but it isn't an object. In an object, you use key value pairs with a colon to have a key name and then the value for the key. Here, that's not the case. This is a so-called field of a class. You create a class with curly braces as well. But here, this is not a key value pair. This just defines the name of a key you will have in the object, which you will create based on the class. And you define the value type that key will hold in the end. You can also set an initial value here with the equal sign, default, but you don't need to do that. Instead, another thing you commonly have in classes is a special function in there, a so-called method. Functions in objects are simply called methods, which is the constructor method. We can add it like this, and this is a reserved word. Constructor is a reserved keyword understood by TypeScript and by modern JavaScript as well. And this is essentially a function tied to this class and tied to any object you create based on the class, which is executed when the object is being created. So this allows you to basically do some initialization work for the object you're building. Now in there, you could accept an argument. Let's name it n maybe, which could also be of type string. And then you want to store that in your name field here. Well, you can do this by reaching out to name with the this keyword and storing n in it. What this does is it sets the value of the name field, also called property, so of the name property, to the value you're getting on n when a department object is created. Now, how could we create such a department object? Nothing easier than that. Outside of the class, you create it by using the new keyword, which is also built into TypeScript and JavaScript, and then you repeat the name of the class, then you add parentheses, and this would create a new department object. But the constructor is called at this point of time when you execute this class like this with the new keyword, and the constructor here takes an argument, a string. Now you pass constructor arguments to this department call here, so between these parentheses. So here we could name this accounting, because maybe we're building the accounting department here. Now this will now create a new JavaScript object based on this blueprint. So now we can store this in a constant, for example, and then console log accounting here to see what we get. If we now save that, and we then go back to our page here, and have a look at the development console here in the DevTools, we should see our department object here. It's a regular JavaScript object, just has this department type attached to it, you could say. And in the end, it's an object with one key value pair, where the key is name, because that's what we defined up there. And the value is accounting. And we have this accounting value here because we're passing this as an argument to the constructor. There we are accepting such a string, and we're storing the value in this field. And fields are in the end just translated to properties the object based on the class will have thereafter. So this is how we can create a simple class and what the general idea is. Now let's see what we actually get in JavaScript.